Okay, so this one is really unique. Emily and I, we come walking back here in the woods. You can see the little footpath right through here, and I've walked by this thing and not really thought a thing about it. Kind of a weird deal, an old AMC mail Jeep, you know, derelict like most old vehicles are. But I've never really put two and two together. Out here in the woods, just in front of me over this berm, is a waterway, and there's some rear seats in the back of this thing and no back window. How much you want to bet that this thing has been used as a redneck deer blind? And who knows, you know, maybe it's derelict, maybe not. Kind of curious. Probably gonna get that itch and try and get the thing running and driving. Howdy my friends, and welcome to the channel today. I'm Uncle Luke, Thunderhead289, here on YouTube. And you know, today we got something really different. Emily and I, we bought this property a little while back, and it's got a bunch of junk sitting on the, you know, the very back of the property here, which includes a 1960s or 1970s mail Jeep. It's really strange, like a USPS unit. And obviously I have no title to the thing, so usually I leave stuff like this alone. But I've kind of got the itch to see if it will run and drive. It's got an AMC driveline in it. It's right-hand drive, and I've really never seen any USPS vehicles on the road, you know, in civilian use. So, I don't know. Like I said, I got the itch. I'm gonna go take a look at it today, and we'll see, you know, maybe we'll try and get this thing fired up. But it's definitely a unique unit. So with that, let's go take a look at this thing. And I kind of got that nostalgic itch today, so I think we're gonna fire up the old Ford and take it back to our tree line. I got it running a little while back, another scenario where something sat for a long time, so I went through it. It really wasn't that hard, you know, this old school stuff is pretty simple, and if you know what you're doing, you can get stuff back on the road pretty easily. So anyway, we've been using it quite a bit around here. It's been a really handy unit, but I haven't started it for a couple weeks. So I thought, might as well fire it up and run some fluids through it and get out to our tree line. And this old Ford is like some Frankenstein deal. It's a conglomerate of many different years. So hard telling what exactly it is, but I don't have many complaints. It seems to run pretty good once I had it tuned and ironed out. So probably gonna eat my words here. Choke lever likes to pop back in. See if we can do this with our foot, just for the sake of the cam. There she goes. Crazy. It's the old 6-volt system, still with the old 6-volt generator and everything, and it fires right off all the time. Has really good oil pressure for what it is, you know. Pretty good unit. I've seemed to reach an impasse. I don't know if the old gatekeepers are gonna let me through. You guys wanna maybe go down here so you don't run away? That would be good. Mama would not be happy with me if you took off. Come on, buddy. Lesson to all 3 women that watch my channel. Best way to a man's heart is obviously through his stomach. And away you go. Go get it. Come on, buddy. There we go. Come on. All right, there we go. Where they belong. Off to the races again. Wouldn't be a terrible idea to make a little basket or something for this thing, 'cause I'm always carrying stuff on my lap. So naturally we have our trusty jump pack. And I'm a strong believer that if you can get an engine to crank over, there's a good chance you can get it to run. So I'm gonna give this thing the old test today. optimistic, I feel, but pretty quick I'll know either way if it has any chance. All right, here she is. All right, so here we are, and I actually don't even know what year this is. I'm not familiar with this sort of stuff, so if you know, drop a comment below, because I have no idea. You know, there's no title to the thing. I just feel like it's probably a 60s or 70s, with it being an AMC and a Willys front end and whatnot, but you know, it's not too terrible for what you would expect. It's had some patchwork over the years, but I have looked under it before, and the frame looks pretty good. Let's see if we can get a look inside. Can't remember, this door handle's like backwards. It's a nice unit right there. Maybe, kind of, sorta. There we go. The old male slider door. Kind of interesting, definitely has that old school Jeep look to it. It is an automatic, of course, it's a right-hand drive. It's got some extra seats in it that don't look like they're worth a dang. Kind of interesting, has a little tray over here. Seen a lot of rain and humidity with the not having any back window. Has a tree limb growing through it, that's kind of neat. You can get a look at the back of the thing. Pretty different. So, in my opinion, this thing is pretty much worthless to me. If the engine can't do anything, it's essentially glorified yard art at that point. Sitting in the humidity probably hasn't done it any justice. See if we can figure out this hood latch. There we go. Like all other Jeeps, maybe it was blue at one time. Maybe. Didn't see a hood prop. And I've been under here before, and it's like someone had monkeyed with it at some point. You know, they got vacuum caps all plugged off and everything, but kind of looks like a newer starter. But I don't know. I got the jump pack. I kind of want to put it on it, and I think this being an AMC should have a Ford starter solenoid somewhere. AMC is interesting. I'm pretty sure this electronic ignition on this thing, Ford originally came out with these, and they were bad, and they didn't like them, and then they sold them to AMC, and they used them. Could be wrong, you know. Seems like I remember something like that. There is a Ford starter solenoid. These battery cables are pretty unique. So they have two PCV valves in it. Nice. Hopefully that hasn't been getting rained in. That would be undesirable. Is there an oil dipstick? Probably would have been a good thing to check early on before I was today years old. Huh? Looks pretty fuely and dirty and old, but doesn't show any water. So I think we'll put the jump pack on it, cross the terminals, and just see if she has any life in her at all. All right. A jump pack on Power Tour sustained some pretty heavy damage. It actually got run over by a trailer at one point, so that was disappointing, but it's still fairly lively. Might as well go out with her boots on, using her up, even though it still seems to be pretty good. So it should be positive. That's running to one side of the starter solenoid. Negative here is going to the frame ground. So if I can find the negative lead, in theory That should be power. Let's take a look and see if any of the lights work, and then I'm going to find a screwdriver. We should be able to do this thing. All right, let's see here. Lights, dome light, yeah, right. Huh, we'll take that as a victory. It's encouraging. Hazards, those never work. That lever is seized. Windshield wipers, should we even try? They probably don't work without the key on, which I don't have, so that's disappointing. Headlights? Hey, we have headlights. Look at that. So there's some encouraging signs of life. It hasn't lost all of its electrical despite all the squirrel holes and the millions of animals that have definitely been living in here and absolutely eating up that seat and making nests out of it. So, in theory, see if I can weasel in here and do this. If I cross to the signal wire from the power side, it should crank. I might need to go up and get a wire. I don't know if I can weasel around this guy. I don't know why someone put this here, or if that was factory or what, but it's fairly sub-ideal. Oh. That's the starter solenoid clicking in. That is not a good sign. I can feel the whole truck vibrating right now, like it's trying to engage the starter down there. And we got a whole lot of nothing. So the plot thickens. Probably should take this off. There's a good chance there's an animal nest inside that thing from previous experiences. Does that thing even have a power cable going down to it? Am I just assuming someone did something? There it is, there it is. There it is. Ooh, and it's hot. Not a good sign. Not my favorite scenario. I'm probably going to go back to the garage, get a wrench, and see if I can turn this over by hand. But this bad boy might be seized up, which might be why it ended up the way it is. It's not the most encouraging thing. Well, at least there's no animals under here. Fairly fresh air filter. Is the carburetor linkage seized? Nope. So that's good. In theory, it should have the potential to run. The biggest question now is just getting the crank to turn over. Not very encouraging. I think I'm going to try one more thing here. I'm just going to bypass all the starter solenoid in case it's corroded up. Going to take our jump pack and go right down to the positive terminal. Oh boy. See if she'll crank from down here. Hey, there we go. Let's try that again. How about that? So maybe our starter solenoid is probably corroded up from sitting, so it's not passing the amp. That's pretty awesome. And gee whiz, it immediately smells like lacquered gas. I better get all this unhooked before I crank it too much more. It definitely has a tight spot, probably from all the humidity. All right, well, that's encouraging. It kind of cranks over. Fuel pump must work because it reeks like lacquered gas up here. So before I get too much farther, you know, I probably want to do something where I rig up an auxiliary gas tank, because I'm sure that thing back there is long since hashed, you know. It's probably completely deteriorated, and if we pump all that crappy fuel up into our carb and our engine, you know, you can have some really bad things happen. So one of the weirdest things I've seen happen if you try and fire the vehicle on that lacquered gas is it's just a different chemical composition at that point. And what it will actually do is get on your valve guides of your intake valves and like around your valve stem. and everything, and it gets sticky when it gets kind of hot, and it will actually seize your valves or create enough drag where your valve train can't keep up with your engine events, with your valve train events, and pistons will hit valves and it'll be game over. So that's one of the reasons I don't want to mess with that until I get some clean fuel in. And I think we can take a look at the back. We could actually get to it pretty easy. AM General. Interesting. I have fooled with Jeeps of similar style before. That door latch obviously doesn't work. And those hinges are very unhappy. This animal pee infested seat out of here, maybe. Oh, looks like someone at some point may have even messed with it. But there it is. It's like they got their vent crimped off, and it does reek like lacquered gas back here all of a sudden. So, but luckily I think I can get on here and pull this off or cut this off or something and set up an auxiliary fuel tank, because whatever's in that tank, it's long since toast, game over. I think. Can you even get this off? Maybe. Fuel spray may cause injury. Don't threaten me with a good time. Am I that incompetent? There we go. I don't know how you fill that at that angle. Wouldn't be too fun. Yeah, I'm just huffing lacquered gas right now, so I'm gonna say that's junk. I'll check this out. I was poking around, looking under things, this, that, and the other thing. And then look what happens if you look up. That is the key, or a key. So if that is the key, that's almost less encouraging, because that probably means that it was definitely parked for a reason. Someone left the key in it. Let's just try setting everything up normal. Once again, doing the big bad cranking the engine, which I don't really want to do, but curiosity is going to get the best of me. Look at all these levers and knobs. This feels very, oh God, this seat is soaking wet. Maybe. I think that starter solenoid has some corroded connections at this point. You can hear it just chattering, so that's no good. Some rubber bands in here, the cliche cigarette. Cool deal. That just made life a whole lot easier. So I got to thinking about this thing when I was standing out in the woods, and I've kind of ashamed it never occurred to me before. But I mean, there's a lot of junk out here, so to speak. But I'm kind of thinking this one has a purpose. Now, Emily and I have gone walking down through here quite a bit into the woods. There's a nice little waterway, just over this berm here. And so there's a lot of deer trails and animal activity back in this general area, especially over in that locale just over there. Now, I'm starting to wonder if this was put here and originally it might have had its back window, but given the extra seats that are sitting in it and the back window being gone, how much do you want to bet that this was a deer blind that someone put here and used? I'm sure, given that scenario, it probably has some aggressive mechanical failure issue that, essentially decommissioned it as a vehicle. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if, with the back window being out and given the angle and everything, this is a redneck deer blind. And anyway, that's kind of how it ended up here. It's kind of weird. You think if someone pulled it in, they would have pulled it in forward, not necessarily backed it in. So probably took a little more effort on someone's part to do that if it wasn't running per se. So I don't know. Kind of interesting, I don't know, is that even legal to shoot out of a vehicle? What's the legality on that? I don't know. I'm not a deer hunter, so I'm not sure. It probably would have occurred to me sooner otherwise, but it seems like it kind of fits the bill, doesn't it? All right, my friends, I think that's going to do it for me today. I got a lot of projects going on, and you know, most of my stuff, like the 74 Maverick, which just did 2,000 miles of power tour, my 74 F100, my 64 Galaxy, you know, they're all revivals, and I like to revive things and drive them. So this is a little bit outside of my general jurisdiction, given that it doesn't have a title, and I don't even know if you can legally put a USPS truck on the road because it's a government unit. Should be interesting. I've never looked into it, and I don't have a title, so I'd have to go through the process of getting a bonded title. I don't know, you know, if it's something you guys want to see, leave a comment below, and then we'll see if we can do the thing. We'd have to squeeze it in between some other projects, but it's definitely a unique one. I've never seen anything quite like it. So anyway, if you want to see it, let me know. But with that, it's going to do it for me. I'll see you guys for the next one.